Welcome, everybody. Excited to be with you here this Wellness Wednesday. And this is a workshop that's been inspired you guys to just educate you on taking back your health. And I'm excited about tonight's topic. We've got people from all over the country tuning in. We've got people from the Philippines, all over from Canada. I just love this. So guys, we are going to have fun tonight. We have a very special guest on with us this evening. And we're going to be talking about the topic of mental health and just how our brain is affected in today's environment. And I promised Dr. Sean that we would stay compliant. And with that, I want to say that we're not here to make medical claims. We're not here to do any of that. We're here solely to educate you and empower you on what we believe to be some of the top things that you can do to optimize your brain health. And we know that mental health is a huge topic in today's world in regards especially to what's going on around us. And so we want to make sure that we're empowering you with knowledge. And I feel like when we have that knowledge as to how we can achieve that optimum health, not only in regards to supplements, but nutrition, that it kind of takes that fear away. And I love that. So that's what this is all about. So I want to welcome Dr. Sean. Dr. Sean is a good friend of mine. I had the opportunity of spending some time with her in Florida a few months back. We actually shared a room. And I have to tell you that she is as authentic as she's going to show herself to be today. She's passionate about health and wellness. Not only does she have, gosh, those Uber degrees that you see hanging behind her, you know, she loves wellness. She loves nutrition. She is a two-time Ironman, a triathlete, an ultra marathoner. She's married to a gastroenterologist. So you got the two powerhouse couples there. And then, of course, she's a board certified neuroradiologist. So we've got a lot to discuss tonight. Sean, thanks for being with us. And will you just start off this meeting by just introducing yourself, let everybody know like how you found wellness, why it's so important to you, and maybe why you chose the profession of this neuroradiologist, you know, going down that path, because you probably could have chosen anything and been successful at it. So excited to learn more just a little bit about you personally.
Well, I thank you so much for the opportunity to be here. I'm thrilled, and the opportunity to, introduce myself. I found medicine because I wanted to. I just wanted to do something challenging that would help people and really just kind of just have a bigger impact. And I chose neuroradiology because the brain is fascinating to me, and that's where all of the mysteries were. I felt in medical school. And the way I found out about what we're doing here is in my mid 40s, I felt exhausted. I didn't feel like I was in my mid 40s. I felt like I was in my mid 60s, and I just didn't, that was not okay with me. You know, I had Ironman to run, I had ultra marathons to run, I had children to take care of. I've got two boys that are in college right now, and they're just the light of my life, as is my husband. And, you know, my doctor told me about this 10 years ago, and it was mind blowing to me that I didn't know about it after, having a medical degree, having, a career in wellness. My first job was at a health and wellness center. And being an athlete, I was shocked that I didn't know this. So I'm really excited that I did. I'm very grateful that I found out about it, and it's really changed my life. And I love the ability to impact others.
I love that. I absolutely love that. So we're going to jump into it right here, guys, because brain health, of course, we know is multifaceted. There's so many things that go into just overall having an overall healthy body. You know, we're dealing with things like our toxic environment, nutrients, nutrition, and then of course we're being thrown everything from everywhere, right? You got to take this supplement to do that. You got to take this to get this result. And I feel like it's confusing for people across the board. So we're going to kind of take some of that confusion away. And then of course, share with you guys tonight, just some of the best tools that we know exist today. And so let's start this off, Sean, by you just explaining, why brain health is so important and why this is kind of a thing across the board. Why are people's brain health the first to kind of decline, right? Not only as we age, but we see this happening in younger and younger generations. But love to hear your take on this as you're the expert.
Oh, well, the brain is, just a tiny little bit of us. It's 3-pound organ, and it is using 20% of our energy. Imagine that. That's why it's the first chink in the armor. I mean, we have more mitochondria in our brain. And remember, back in biology, mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell. That's what makes our energy. And our brain uses 20% of our energy. We have more mitochondria than any organ in our body, bar none, other than a woman's ovaries. So it's where the fire is being created. Your mitochondria are the energy powerhouses. They're making the energy. They're the factory for the energy. And at a factory, what do you see? You see energy, you see pollution. That exhaust, that is going to damage those sensitive cells. The brain uses more oxygen, and it's comprised mostly of fat. Imagine putting oils and fats and butters on the counter. They oxidize, they go rancid. Well, when our brain goes rancid, we have problems.
Wow, I love when you use those analogies, because I think for the average person, it can get overwhelming. Let's talk a little bit about that. Let's talk about that, like that oxidation process, right? Because we know that oxidative stress is linked to a lot of issues in the body. And without getting into any of those issues specifically, why is this process so important to make sure that we are, reducing that process and trying to fight that process? We call it the aging process, oxidative stress, inflammation. Let's expand on that a little bit. I'm excited to learn more.
Well, as you know, as you can imagine, anything that's oxidized, think of a rusty, you know, pipe or a bicycle that rusts, you leave it out in the rain, it's not going to function well. That rust is like gunk, and it impedes the function of the structures of our brain. So oxidative stress is literally like your cells, your brain cells, your neurons, essentially rusting, and they don't function well. They become stiff. They get proteins that aggregate and gum things up. And so we've got to try to lower that to try to prevent future damage. But also, when we add the right nutrients, we can start to repair some of that damage. And the microglial cells, that's a fancy word for the macrophages in the brain that take out the trash, that actually get the gunk out so your brain can function better.
I love it. And let's talk, we live in an environment right now that's so toxic on so many levels. And I don't think we have to kind of convince anybody on this call as to our environment being toxic, but we're looking at our food source, being devoid of nutrients and minerals. Some of those things that I believe, if people just make those small changes, of course, in regards to nutrition, and then they're adding the right things on the back end, like this incredible line of activators that we're educating people on tonight. Let's expand on that a little bit. I mean, we know our environment's toxic. How does that directly affect the brain?
Well, every little bit of insult is cumulative. We have not only our brain cells and our neurons being attacked by this oxidation, but our mitochondria themselves are being attacked. And so as we have damage to the power plant of our cells, now they become so critically impacted that they basically self-destruct. There's a process called apoptosis, which is cellular death. And then now our brains are trying to function. Normal brain cells have about 10,000 or so, plus or minus a few thousand mitochondria. And as we go through life and we're impacted by this stress and that stress and the cortisol, raising, and the magnesium deficiency and all of the things that we're not doing right for ourselves, we reach a point where our brains are trying to do the same work that they needed 10,000 mitochondria to do with maybe 6,000 mitochondria. That presents a whole host of problems.
Yeah, and I like what you said when you opened up this presentation today. We talked about focus, energy, brain fog, fatigue, some of these things that we know. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but about 10 years ago, 11 years ago now, that before I found these products, as a 30-year-old woman, it was about 3 o'clock every day that I just felt like I needed to take a nap. And of course, there's so many layers to that. Of course, knowing that I had inflammation in my body and things that I wasn't doing right. But let's talk about, I know as a triathlete and a Ironman runner, I guess I couldn't even say runner, but how does, we have a product that we know is called Axio. It's one of our favorite products. I'd love for you to kind of expand on that, because of course, anytime you can reduce brain fog, fatigue, and increase your mental focus, I think it's incredible. And I'd love for you to educate people on just that specifically, because of course it's one of my favorite products, and we know that it helps with that that process
Yeah, my
altogether.
coach used to call me the oxidizer because I would do a CrossFit class at 6 a.m. and then I'd go run 17 miles before work. So I was like, oh, that's so cool. I'm breathing oxygen, aerobic exercise. Oh no, that means I'm rusting. So I was kind of like, oh, but what's interesting is that the person that developed our Axio, I call it our liquid brain food. I love how Dr. Brimhall calls it a hug for your brain because it literally feels like that. I used to drink coffee in the morning and it gave me, yes, it woke me up, but it gave me jitters. It gave me an acid stomach. It gave me like a kind of a dry mouth. And I really didn't like the crash. The person that kind of formulated the Axio was an ultra competitor himself and competed in these ultra endurance races, and literally was kind of obviously he's a PhD biochemist. And so he kind of toyed with these things and he kind of found the right combination of pine bark extract and magnesium and quercetin and L-theanine. Those are things that, L-theanine increases your brain alpha wave activity, which helps you be in a good mood. And it's found in green tea. It's one of the amino acids, and pine bark extract, pycnogenol, increases cognition and attention and memory. And actually people who take university test score, they not only do better on their tests, but their anxiety scores are diminished by almost 20%. So these ingredients were put in there specifically formulated to not literally, but figuratively give your brain a hug, which is great.
I love that. I absolutely love that. So you mentioned mitochondria. We're going to kind of circle back again because I know this is a passion of yours. And you make I have to say this about you, Sean. You make like learning all this science stuff super fun, by the way, because I know that like in biology class, I just tuned out. Let's talk about mitochondria and specifically our Protandim NRF1 product. How is that? I believe, I know you get excited about it, but will you just educate everybody as to why this is such an important foundational product to consume every
Yeah,
day?
well, as I remember, I mentioned that, our brain and our heart, for example, they have so many thousand mitochondria as a default, and normal, healthy young adults and children have. But as we are exposed to these toxins and insults, these mitochondria kind of die off. Mitophagy is the word. They are just recycled for their parts. And now you're trying to operate with fewer mitochondria. Well, the answer is to increase something called mitochondrial biogenesis, where you're making new healthy mitochondria. So you're not only addressing the oxidative stress and decreasing that so that where there's future damage that is lessened, but you're actually repairing and making up for past damage. So you have more new healthy mitochondria. And things that do this independently are like coenzyme Q10, alpha lipoic acid. These things have proven to increase memory and decrease inflammation. Acetyl L-carnitine, grape extract, that has resveratrol in it. It increases those enzymes that recycle NAD, which we're not going to get into NAD just yet, but it's basically the fuel to make ATP in your mitochondria. So you want to increase the number of mitochondria, and you can take all these things independently and individually, or you can just kind of simplify things, which is what we've been doing.
I was absolutely blown away by that. And I'm glad that you mentioned like the synergy, the blend, because I talk to people all the time, like, give me your top, what are your supplements that you take? And when you're able to let them know that you have one blend that's literally comprised of the most important supplements, enzymes, and things like that for our body, and it's in one pill, like that's amazing. And that's what I love about our Protandim Nerve 2, which leads me into that. Let's talk a little bit about the synergy and why that's so important, not only for the oxidative stress factor, but how that relates directly to, of course, our body at a cellular level, which is, of course, what makes these products so incredible is that cellular focus, right? Getting to that foundation.
Yeah, well, I love, the NRF2, the one that reduces oxidative stress. I love the individual ingredients, green tea, turmeric, milk thistle, ashwagandha, bacopa. I had heard of everything except for ashwagandha and hadn't heard of bacopa when my doctor told me about it. I mean, green tea is a wonderful antioxidant. It's kind of a thermogenic compound. It has that L-theanine in it, helps you have antioxidant protection against those free radicals, also helps you burn fat. Turmeric, very anti-inflammatory. Milk thistle, a great liver detoxifier. Ashwagandha, super important for mental health. It reduces cortisol. Cortisol is exceptionally damaging to your hippocampus and your hypothalamus. So it can lead to not only deficiencies in memory, you think about brain fog, where did I put my phone? Where did I leave my keys? That's ashwagandha. That helps with that cortisol regulation, but it also helps with all of your hormones, thyroid, the hypothalamic pituitary axis. And then of course, bacopa, which is Chinese herb that increases memory. SOD is an enzyme that neutralizes free radicals at 1 million a second, versus vitamin C or vitamin E or vitamin, beta carotene, which are neutralizing 1 free radical per molecule. That's a big difference. It's exponential. Your enzymes just kind of do it again and again and again, and they're not used up in the equation, whereas vitamins are coenzymes. They are one and done. You pee it out. That's why, have you noticed when you take vitamins, multivitamin, vitamin C, your urine is bright fluorescent yellow because you're peeing it out. You're just throwing your money literally in the toilet. So, it's better to increase your body's ability to make these antioxidants that can do yeoman's work millions of times better. And I love that the synergy of that blend is 1,800% or 18 times better than the individual ingredients, which are amazing by themselves.
I love that. And we're talking about the concept of glutathione, which is now a big buzzword, right? A lot of people are starting to learn about the master antioxidant and how this product, Protandim Nrf2, has a direct correlation on increasing that naturally in the body. We see a lot of people supplementing with glutathione, supplementing with NAD. And in fact, I think Joe Rogan made news when he was talking about NAD on his podcast not too long ago. But let's talk about that, and then we're going to run into NAD. I know I want to be respectful of everybody's time tonight. There's so much I could ask you. We could talk, of course, for the next 2 hours, but let's talk about that specifically, because I feel like that's something that everybody needs to be aware of, and why Protandim Nrf2 is so imperative in regards to glutathione production.
Absolutely. Well, I like to talk about glutathione. It's really 3 amino acids, and it's put together in a tripeptide. And there's things you can take, cysteine, you can take the individual, what we call precursors or building blocks of glutathione individually, and your body will synthesize glutathione or manufacture it, build that house out of the bricks, right? But those workers that assemble the bricks into glutathione have a schedule that they keep. They've got to go to bed, they've got to wake up, they've got to have lunch. They only work so fast, right? But so if you bring more of cysteine, for example, or sulfur or whatever to the work site, your body's going to your enzymes, those worker bees they're just going to put the pieces together at the rate that they do. And so maybe the cysteine will build up and you'll have this extra supply of cysteine, but you're not manufacturing glutathione any faster. The better way is to increase the number of those workers and the fitness of those workers and the motivation of those workers by upregulating the production of enzymes. And that's a very parallel story with NAD. You can take NAD precursors in the form of niacin or nicotinamide riboside. You may have heard of True Niagen and Elysium bases. Those are great supplements. They're precursors to the NAD plus, which is so critical to make ATP in the mitochondria and also outside of the mitochondria. But you can only assemble NAD plus by the rate limiting step of those enzymes. So the key is to upregulate those enzymes, NAMTT, blah, blah, blah. You don't need to know the names of the enzymes, but you increase the rate at which those assimilate, and it's literally a 50-fold difference. You can take a precursor and you get 2% more NAD plus tomorrow, 2% more sirtuin activity. That's the protein that uses NAD to protect and repair DNA. Or you can upregulate the enzymes and have 100% more tomorrow, 50-fold better.
I don't know what to
No-brainer.
But all I have to say, if I didn't know anything about these 4 incredible products that you've covered, and I wasn't going to get off the Zoom and get on them, thankful to God that I've been on them for 11 years. I don't know what else we can say. Just say, Dr. Shawn's the expert. She's a neuroradiologist. She says yes for brain health. And that's that. So Shawn, would you like to add anything else as we're wrapping up this in regards to all that we've discussed and brain health and just some encouragement for people? Because I know it can be overwhelming as we're aging. Things seem to be declining. I seem to be forgetting things at a
Oh,
much more rapid pace since I hit 40. What encouragement can you give, and what last things do you want to leave us with?
well, I just want to say my story back 10 years ago. I was 45. I was taking, olive leaf extract, magnesium, phosphatidylserine, phosphatidylcholine, ginkgo biloba, ginseng, L-theanine. I was taking all of this stuff, and we've gone over many of these things: pycnogenol, pine bark extract, magnesium, omega-3s. We didn't even talk about that. B12, bacopa, coenzyme Q10, alpha lipoic acid, acetyl L-carnitine, grape extract, quercetin, wasabi, curcumin, turmeric. It's exhausting. And that was me. I was exhausted. I was trying to patch together, read this article, read this study. Oh, I should take this because that, and I should take that because this, and everything said they did the same thing. Well, that's because they all work through a particular pathway of upregulation, but they only do it a little bit. The key is to get one combination that does it a lot, simplify things. It works way better. And as a result, I went from taking 28 pills a day and feeling foggy and 45, not 45, but feeling 65, to taking just a few and feeling great 10 years later.
I'm going to give kind of a little a sneak peek for all of the guests. Are probably wondering, well, what is this? What are these girls talking about? I heard a lot of science. Guys, I want to encourage you, get with the person that invited you tonight. We are passionate about sharing this with you. We're here to support and further education. I don't know if you need any more about after hearing Dr. Sean tonight. There's a lot of science, but all you guys have to know is these products are impacting people's lives. We've seen huge changes. We don't need to make radical medical claims about these. When you're empowering and supporting your body with the proper things, the body is the miracle, right? That's what I love about this product line and what we're doing here in regards to educating people. So get with the person that invited you. We're excited to share more. We do have a new customer special. I think it's a $10 off coupon for those that just get started after hearing this tonight. Excited about that. I want to thank you, Dr. Sean, for being with us tonight. You're incredible. Hopefully we can get you on here for another education or wellness Wednesday. Loved hearing from you. And I'm going to introduce you guys right now to Miss Gail Beebe. We've got two very, very smart women that have been on with us tonight. Gail, if you can unmute yourself. Gail is a geologist. She's also a scientist by nature. And Gail's going to take a different aspect in regards to these products and how they've impacted her life. And so I'm really excited for Gail to share with you her results and just some of the things that she's experienced with this product line, specifically Protandim Nerf 2 and Axio, also, of course, the Nerf 1. But when I met Gail, she was really having a tough time. I know that she found this information not out of desperation, but out of searching for answers. So Gail, we're excited that you're with us tonight. Thank you for taking the time out. Really excited to hear more about your story and just how amazing these products have impacted you.
Thank you so much, Jenny, for having me on and allowing me the privilege to tell a bit of my story. And thank you, Sean, because that explanation of why the mitochondria worked is so amazing. I have never heard that much detail, and now it explains everything. So thank you for that, Dr. Sean. So I come to you guys tonight with a heart of gratitude, and I will try not to cry as I tell you a bit of my story. Here we go. Sorry. So yeah, we were struggling in our family. Both my daughter and I won't really tell you her story. I'll focus on mine, but let's just say that for everything that I was able to do with these products, hers were 10 times more effective, even more impactful on her life. So I came in as a huge skeptic. So some of you on this Zoom, you might be thinking, yeah, is it real? Yes, it's real. That's really all you need to know. And as a scientist, I ask a ton of questions. That's just how we think. That's how we're trained. And that's what I did when I looked at this. And every time I asked a question, it was answered with like such a professional, to the point manner. And if you aren't familiar with PubMed.gov, ask the person who invited you here tonight to show you how to use that, because that's where I went. And I was so impressed. But the only product that was really available at the time was the Protandim Nerf 2. And I wasn't told to expect to feel anything, but within a week, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm like cleaning out the spare bedroom. I'm cleaning out the garage. So, when we talk about energy and focus, it just kicked in within a week. But I want to set realistic expectations, because for as many immediate results as I've seen, there are other people that don't see those immediate results. Just know that inside it's working. And if you have any doubt about that, go to PubMed and read the stories. The next product that came along, by the way, I guinea pigged myself before I let my daughter try it. And by the time she figured out what I was doing, she's like, give it to me now. Because her story is amazing, you guys. It turns out that both she and I have been hit with Lyme disease and mold toxicity. So when you have that, you're going to have extreme fatigue. You're going to probably experience brain fog. And those are only going to amplify once you start treating, because there's a huge die-off. So there's a toxic load associated with treating those two conditions. And so that just increases everything. I have to say that compared to my peers who have gone through treatment or have chosen not to go through treatment, I feel like I sailed through so much easier, because I was actually activated on these products before I started my treatment. And I am just so thankful. Every time this company added another product, it just elevated how I felt. They added the Nerf One, the mitochondrial repair. Amazing, you guys. They added Axio. I am very caffeine sensitive, and I was grateful that they had both decaf and regular. But I have to say that even our regular one that is caffeinated, there was no spike and crash. Like, I can totally handle that one. So the brain fog that I experienced was just, let's just say this. Okay, so I am a scientist. I could do math problems in my head. When I got hit with the brain fog with these two conditions, I couldn't even remember my friends' names. Okay, so here comes Axio, our smart energy. It was a game changer for me, you guys, just like the Nerf 2 and the Nerf 1 were game changers. The Omega Plus, we were praying for a fish oil that didn't smell rancid. They were horrible, horrible, horrible. Learn more about that, you guys. We're so grateful. We had been asking our doctor, please, can you find us one that doesn't smell rancid? And she's like, these are the best on the market. And no kidding, within a month, this company came out with like the best on the market. So grateful. It doesn't smell. It just has a super fresh, like, okay, I could go on and on. Just take a look at it and ask the person who invited you, because I want to be respectful of everybody's time. The science behind the NAD, it's all incredible, you guys. I know the first time that my daughter took NAD, she was like, you know what? I feel like chronic fatigue is no longer going to be an issue for me. Okay, so you guys, just know that it works. I'm a scientist. I can geek out on everything and people's eyes just glaze over. I'm here to just tell you, you don't need to understand the science. Just get back with the person who invited you tonight and ask them to tell you their story. This is just, my story is one of many. It's powerful, and I'm extremely grateful that these products came into my life. So I don't know if you have any other questions, Jenny. Oh, I also want to mention, when we talk about environmental toxins, the other thing I'm so grateful for about our product line is that the body care, the skin care, it's all non-toxic. That is so hard to find. And when you're dealing with an insult on your body, like I was, and like my daughter, you try to eliminate every toxin you can. And it's really hard when it comes to skincare and body care. Yeah, and I'm just so grateful. They work too. The products that we have are pretty much marketed as anti-aging, and there's a lot of reasons for that, but I'm just saying they're non-toxic. That's all I wanted to know. Non-toxic, and they work. So Jenny, if you have any questions, feel free to throw them out there.
Gail, no, oh my gosh, you covered it so well. Thank you for sharing your story. And guys, I just want to reemphasize, get with the person that invited you. Very clear, we're not making medical claims. What I love about these Wellness Wednesdays is that we're empowering you to understand that your body's the miracle, right? When you're making those changes in your life, and everybody's on a different path on their wellness, on a wellness path. Sometimes I talk to people that haven't eaten a healthy thing in their life. Sometimes I talk to people that have done all the right things, but they're still feeling bad. So this is all about educating you, removing some of that fear, understanding that our body, when given the proper tools, incredible things can happen. And so we've been able to share with you tonight a product line that we believe over 1,000 medical doctors and beyond can get behind. We've got the science, the research, all of the things that you heard tonight, but ultimately it's about the community as well. And I've been so thankful to have been connected with this community of people that cares about health, that cares about wellness, that cares about choosing those things that we know can impact us in that long term. So thank you so much for being a part of our community tonight. We're hosting these every Wednesday, coming to you with a different form of expertise, more information to kind of peel back that layers and educate you so that you can take your health back into your hands and have confidence and faith in moving forward with all that's going on. So thanks for joining us. Thanks again, Dr. Sean and Gail, for joining us this evening, blessing us, and we'll connect with you soon. We want to welcome you into the community and hope that you stick around and join us. We appreciate you all. Take care and have a great night. Bye, guys.